The messaging is that if the targets are Muslim women of sexual abuse, sexual harassment, sexual assault, gang rape, then there is impunity for the crime. And the state will not stand up for them. On the one hand, you have announcements being made from the ramparts of the Red Fort that the government stands for respect for women. And on the other hand, we see that Muslim women do not seem to be deserving when the executive is taking decisions. Have you heard a single statement from the present dispensation condemning the manner in which they were welcomed? I have not heard. Pin drop silence. Where are the usual suspects which come out wanting death penalty for every reason? I see this early release as a very, very dishonest, arbitrary, and discriminatory exercise of executive discretion. The law gives discretionary power to states, to the state of Gujarat, to the central government. The law has an assumption. The assumption is that the state will not abuse and misuse that power in an arbitrary manner, in a manner which is unequal for some citizens, to favor some others. That is a basic assumption on which the rule of law works. Here, what we see is that the basic assumption, foundation on which the entire rule of law works, has been actually disturbed. And that is why there is this outcry against this early release. We also need to remember that both women's rights activists, and I would speak for myself personally, have always been in favor of a more reformative approach. We have always said no to death sentence, even for rape. We have said no to long and harsh incarceration. And yet we see here that we are saying that if there has to be an approach by the state, which is reformative, in which remission, early release, premature release are very, very laudable objectives and must be there as part of law and policy. But the state does not appear to be working for citizens in an equal manner. It is discriminatory in its approach. And that is where the outcry is coming from. This is perhaps one of the most heinous, despicable crimes ever committed in the history of independent India, where they are targeted, babies are killed, toddlers are killed, women are raped, men are hacked, pregnant woman is gang raped. In those circumstances, to say yes, early release ought to be given and has been given, whereas in all other cases, the same very state says death penalty should be given. Life for the remainder of natural life. These are amendments introduced by the central government in POCSO. So are we how do we square this as citizens, as women? What is the messaging the government is giving me? What is the messaging a Muslim woman is receiving? That your respect, your bodily integrity, your dignity is of no value in this country, and you are going to be a fair target, and those who target you will then be welcomed into society with garlands. I oppose the death penalty. I oppose death penalty even for the Nirbhaya gang rapists. But I am saying the state cannot act in a discriminatory manner, and if it does, that decision is completely unacceptable and cannot be upheld. If after, the law says that when you are given life sentence, then after serving 14 years, in a murder case, when you are given life sentence, after serving 14 years, you have a right to present an application. You are eligible for being considered for early release. It is an eligibility that arises after 14 years, not a right that I will be released after 14 years. If that was the case, then there will be no person in the state of Gujarat prison or anywhere else who has crossed 14 years of incarceration. We know that that is far from the truth. So you can say, please consider me for. Then there are a set of parameters. The first question, and these are laid down by the Supreme Court in judgments, the first question to be asked by that committee is whether the offense is an individual act of crime that does not affect society. This is the first question that has to be considered when early release is asked for. What is the answer to that question? In a case of this nature, does this, you see, these people, this was a hate crime. They were targeted because of their identity. The women were gang raped, a toddler was thrown to death. So this was what can be a more heinous crime? You are, as citizens of India, you have refused to live at peace. This particular incident occurred when this entire extended family was fleeing. So is it a crime only against Bilkis and her deceased family? Is it not a crime against the secular fabric of India? Is it not a crime against every single constitutional value on which this country was built? So the first answer fails, how can this committee have given this? The policy that has to be followed is the policy that was operational at the time of conviction. In 2008, it was the 1992 policy. What does the 1992 policy say? It said, consider the application. Of course, you can consider the application. What did you do on the consideration of the application? The 1992 policy does not say, if a convict puts an application after 14 years, open the doors of the jail and march them out and garland them. No, the 1992 policy does not say that. And this was agreed to by the central government. So let us be very clear. The Union Home Ministry is in agreement with the state of Gujarat in a completely horrific crime, saying that people should be released. We need to recognize one thing very clearly. I have always had huge respect for Bilkis, for what she has done. It's very, very, I don't think we can even comprehend what she and her family have gone through. I salute her for her courage and her tenacity. And I think the system and all of us need to stop putting the burden on her. This is not her burden. A judicial review of this, and I think she has said this in her statement, it is the state's responsibility to ensure that justice is done. I don't think any longer anyone can ask Bilkis to take any legal struggle forward. This is not Bilkis's responsibility.